Little Stop Studios again, and today I'm going to be going over how we get a photo, like the one here, into a cross-stitch pattern with MacStitch. And I will show you step by step how I go from this photo that I took of my cat, and from there I'm going to use this free image editing software called Gimp. It's available at gimp.org. You can use it if you have a Mac. You can use it if you have a Windows computer. It is open source, free, really awesome. You can also use it if you have Linux, but you cannot use MacStitch or WinStitch on Linux, unfortunately. At least I don't think so. Let me know if that is a possibility. And after you download that, we are going to edit the photo and get it down to just the subject. We want to reduce the number of colors as much as possible so that by the time we are ready to convert into a chart, it is a reasonable, in this case, 38 colors. And I made this about a 6-inch square. And it's really not that hard to do. It's only going to take about 10-15 minutes, and I will go over each step of the way how I got a photo with millions of colors into a pretty realistic looking cross-stitch pattern still. And real quick, here's the framed view, so you can see about what it would look like if I decided to stitch this up. And it's not too bad. I think if you compare it, side by side, you can see it captures the essence of Punko. So without further ado, let's get started converting a picture into a cross-stitch pattern. The first thing that we are going to do is take the picture that I've got right here. I'm going to hit Control. I'm going to open this with a software called Gimp. So here's the photo that I'm going to be using. I took this picture with my phone, and now what I'm going to do first of all is show you how we're going to use layers to be able to clear off the background. So it's actually not that complex. All we're going to do is come up to this menu selection that says Layer. We're going to click that, and we're going to scroll down to Transparency. And we're going to click this very first one that says Add Alpha Channel. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And now I can use a couple different tools in order to be able to clear off the background. So the first one I like to use is this one over here that looks like a little magic wand, and it's this Fuzzy Select tool. So I'm going to click that. And now what I do is click an area in here. So everything within these dashed lines is now going to be edited. So if I hit image, let me remember. Okay, I go under edit and I hit clear. Anything with these squares in it is going to be clear. And how the magic wand tool works is it tries to pick up everything that is similar in color. So it's, as you can see, it does get a little bit limited. We can also go in with the selection tool, and you want to be careful not to get too close to anything, like right up by her ears over there. Sorry, honey bunch. And you want to be careful not to select that. But if you use the selector tool here, this is just, rectangle selector tool. And we're going to, again, clear that out. But the magic wand tool is really great when you're working in areas like, look how it so closely gets into her whiskers, but it doesn't clear them out. I could never do that by myself as clear. So it is really useful to use the magic wand as well as the typical selection tools. But yeah, you go over to Free Select Tool, which is where you do a hand-drawn selection, and you can go over the entire thing if you'd like to. I think I will zoom out a little bit because I'm not that bad. The only thing you have to remember when you use this tool is that you have to go back to your starting point. So you can do any kind of funky shape that you want, but you do need to have a complete shape. So I can go all the way over here, and then all that area with the squares is clear. And one great thing about this tool is I can go all the way outside of the image. And then when I get that yellow square, I know that I have done a complete shape. So I can hit clear, sorry, yellow circle. And then again, I have to click another one. I'll just hit clear there. And then we'll do a bit more lassoing, because you can see it's not perfect, but it is much better than it was. Alrighty. And this hasn't taken me too long, which is nice. You don't want to be spending forever. Get all that down there. It looks like all of the stuff on the right hand side of the screen is cleared. Save tools. Clear. Go back to that lasso. And then I am not happy with those ears yet. Go get them clipped up, sweepy. I hope that wasn't inside too much. I should be zooming in for this, but I'm a bit lazy. It looks okay. I'm gonna try out the circle one. Clear. And you can mess around with these. This is also a good program if you wanted to mess around with the colors. You can up the saturation. I would recommend reducing shadows perhaps if you want to. I really like the colors on this one though, so I'm not going to be messing with it. I guess the only thing is by her nose. It is a little bit busy, and that's how she is in real life though. She'd always be scrunching that up. Glare at everybody. My cat hates people. So she is very busy trying to kill everyone most days. Luckily, she's pretty cute. Such a demonic animal. Okay. Clean that up a bit. Again, got the yellow. Clear. Oh, come on. Oh, no, you were so close. You evil thing. What did you do? Why would you do that to me? I don't want to do that. I just want to clear it. I don't want to do that. It's doing that. What did I do? What did I do? I thought I got them all. Oh. I must have not hit quite within there, so it decided to go back on me. Clear, clear, clear. And also, just a side note, you want to try and not to get too much overlap when it comes to your tools. So whenever I work on a section down here, oh come on, thank you, then the next time I'm going to work over here as example because I want to make sure that I'm not interrupting the middle. Getting a little tricksy by this point. And then I noticed over here, it looks a little bit busy. So we'll clear that up. And I just like to go over everything top and bottom. And you can see it's a little bit messy still, but maybe if we do magic now. I'm definitely not the best at clearing. And it's not going to be too hard to clear up some of these messier edges in MacStitch as well, but the fewer segments like this we have, the fewer colors that we're going to have to mess with in the end. But that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. She's nice and clear cut. Her whiskers are still very much there. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And we can just call this one Punk. And XCF is the file type that Gimp likes to work with. So first we save it as one of those images. If you save it as an XCF image, you can still easily edit all of the different layers. But if we want to save it in a file format that can be opened by MacStitch, what we need to do is click Export, and then it's automatically gonna format to a PNG file. You can do a PNG, you can do a JPEG. I like PNG files. I find that they're a little bit cleaner around the edges than a JPEG usually. And then I like to compress it down a little. This is just going to make it so that it's not as large of an image. It'll help get rid of some of those colors. And then we hit export. Okay, so now we are done editing the image. I'm going to go ahead and close this off, and we will start up in MacStitch. Click on that. It's going to pop up with the Get Started guide because I have not selected that. And I'm going to go on the menu that pops up and click on Convert Image. I'm just going to go with the standard image import wizard. I find that that's okay for photos. And I'm going to go, I saved it on the desktop. I'm going to go to Punk PNG. That's the one that we did together. I did this as an example by myself earlier. And then it's going to ask you, it's going to give you standard measurement based on the size of your original image. And then it is going to let you make adjustment to the example itself. So I like 16 stitches per inch in general. I don't like that big chart. And I look at my cat, but I don't want to be stitching her for that long. I already thought that a 6-inch square would be plenty big. And that will be 96 by 96 stitches. And I think that that is a good size. So always make sure you go over this. You need to decide how many stitches per inch you want and how large a picture you want. You can change this, but getting a realistic sized finished project close to what you want to do in real life is going to be the best way to get the correct number of colors as well. Now I know that I've got a few little bits over on the edges, and you know, she does have her collar on, and I need to keep that in mind when I'm deciding how many thread colors I want to use at the beginning. And I can always reduce this with a menu option as well. So you can start out with a few more colors if you want to play it safe, or you can redo this a couple times and see what you like best yourself. So they always talk about if you use more colors, you can get better color match for photographs. For clip art, they recommend advanced import. I also agree with that, however. I don't usually use an existing palette because I'm lazy. They allow up to 230, which I think is about as many as you're allowed to have max for a palette. But the whole point of this is I don't want to have 500 shades of beige for this cat. Yeah, I've already got too many. I think I decided 45 was good, and I'm not even sure if it uses it all. You can switch between a photo and clip art. Clip art would be if you draw something or if you have a picture that you want to use. So the next part on here is we're going to select what kind of colors we're going to be using. They start up alphabetical order with Anchor. Again, I usually use DMC, regular DMC. It has a huge selection. I'm going to go ahead and click Done. And then it's going to take its time. And this is what they gave me at the end. And it's not bad, but it could use a bit of cleaning up. For example, we do not need any of these outlying stitches on the edges. And I also think we can clean up. I don't think we need much of these darker ones on the outside either. I think by getting rid of those, we might get rid of a couple of the colors. And we'll be getting rid of a bit of confetti work. So all I'm doing is I have the erase tool equipped, and then I'm going over some of the darker stitches in particular, and then some of the ones on the outside. And you will have to play cleanup with basically any photo that you decide to import. So just keep that in mind. It's not a one-stop shop. You do have to work with it. And some of it is designer's choice. Like I'm picking random pieces that I don't quite like and getting rid of them. And again, as you can see, I told it could go up to 45 colors, and it naturally settled on 38 that it decided was fine. And I think about there's good. And then if you want to get a better view of what it's going to look like finished, again, we hit View and then Framed View. And it looks pretty good. I don't like that earpiece up there, and then this paw looks a little bit square to me, so I think I'll hit cancel. And I'm gonna go clean that up. That looks nicer. And again, the face is a little busy. There's not much I can do about that though. Somebody's just got a butt face. Then all I'm doing here is going over some of her busier parts. And I think if we go like that, you get the cute little indent that she's got naturally. I think if we go there, that is bugging me too. Now let's try it again. Framed view. And again, framed view is nice because you kind of get the idea of what it would look like as a finished product, and you can also see the entire view easily. Play around with the frame, see what it would look like with different mount sizes, yada yada. And sometimes it gets a little stick. And I think it looks pretty good. I don't recommend going over any of these areas, like obviously her eyes. If we open up the picture again real quick, they are a bit more green. And I have tried going over pieces like this individually with different colors, and it doesn't come out as nicely as you would expect it. Instead, what I would recommend is editing that specific area in a photo editing software, and not editing it in MacStitch instead. You're going to get a more natural look if you edit it. Even if you do something that looks a little bit ridiculous on the photo, it's going to look better when you translate it into the chart. So I would absolutely recommend first you edit it in an editing software. If you think about how some of the photos that we have that are so, photoshopped looking, they're very smooth looking though. And that actually is really nice when you make it into a cross-stitching chart. So even if you get something like Snapchat or Instagram and you put a filter on there, we might think it looks a little bit fake if we see the photo, but when you change that, you take one of those pictures and you put it into a chart, it does look really nice, and it actually reduces the amount of colors that you need as well. So I will put photos on Instagram on just a private account, and I will mess around with the filters on Instagram, or I will mess around with photos in Snapchat and use some of those filters. And again, both of those are completely free to use. And then when I have the contrast down, when I've reduced some of the noise, as it's called in the photos, then I will put them on my computer, and then I will open them up in MacStitch. And I found that that's another great way to get a more natural looking chart in the end. But as you can see, for the work of about 5-10 minutes, I don't think this is too bad. It cleans up pretty nicely. You've only got 38 colors, and you've got yourself a cute little punk. So I hope this helps, and if you'd like any more tips, or if you have any questions about using MacStitch, please let me know. I will look into making a graphic into a chart next time, so you can see how it's a little bit different between a photograph and a digital art. But again, we want to be careful about copyright, so I'm only going to be using a graphic that I have the rights to use. I realized that I forgot to show you how to reduce the palette after you have already created your stitch design. So here I have my cat again. As you can see under the palette, it shows that there are 38 threads currently being used. And let's say that I like the look of the shape and I think that it's a great size, but at the same time, I might not have some of these threads, or maybe I just don't want to have that much confetti to deal with, especially in the nose area. So let's try to reduce the amount of colors and see how that changes things. And to do that, we go up to Palette, and right down here, we have the selection where we can reduce the color count by 10%. And for something like a picture, this makes a huge difference. So I click that, and you might not notice too much happen so far. We're reducing it by 10%, so that just took away 4 of our colors, which is, roughly 10%. They rounded up a little. Can't notice too much different. So why don't we click that one more time, and now we're going to have 30 colors available. And if you're quick, you might have noticed, wow, suddenly you can't see that color very well. And that is when we start to see a big difference. We went from 38 to 30 colors. And just one more time, let's reduce the color count. And this one not as drastic because it only took it down by 2 more, so it got rid of a little bit of the shadowing used. And I did get some framed versions up to compare what it looks like. So on the left, we've got Punko with 38 colors in the palette. And as you can see, her collar is nice and vivid, and she has a lot more of the original color in her eyes available. And then on the right, we've got Punko with only 21 colors in the palette. In this version, she has a lot less warmth, I would say, in her fur. There's less variation around the ears. It's a little bit easier to stitch on the face, but it's still Not worth the color loss in my opinion, but if you want a quick way to get rid of the number of colors, this would be a good option. Again, the shadowing gets a bit darker because we're reducing the total number of shadows there as well. And I'm just not a fan of what happened here by reducing it that much. So do keep in mind when you're trying to stitch a picture, you want to keep in mind that you're not going to be able to use only 20 or 25 colors. I would really say 38 is the minimum for a subject like this with so few colors. She's, a one color cat. So if you're going to be doing something with multiple colors, very bright or very different colors, you're going to be looking at probably 100, maybe even more if you want to keep it in the realistic sense. So just keep in mind, you can reduce the number of colors further, but every time you do, you will be losing some detail on there. Thank you again.